Phyllis Campbell is the Senior Executive and Chair, Pacific Northwest for J.P. Morgan & Chase. Previously, Phyllis served as the President and CEO of the Seattle Foundation, the largest community foundation in Washington. During her tenure, the foundation doubled in charitable assets to $600 million. Prior to that, Phyllis was the President and CEO of the U.S. Bank of Washington. As with the Seattle Foundation, under her leadership, the bank doubled in size. Phyllis also has a proven track record of board service, both in the for-profit and not-for-profit sectors. She serves on the boards at the Alaska Air Group, Nordstrom, and the North American Diversity Advisory Board of Toyota. She is also on the nonprofit boards of PATH, the U.S.-Japan Council, and the Global Advisory Board for Women Corporate Directors. Phyllis is frequently a requested speaker on governance, banking, and risk-related topics. She's been described by colleagues as incredible, amazing, bold, empowering, trustworthy, motivating, focused, gracious, community-oriented, and a one-of-a-kind leader. I read a past interview with Phyllis where it was obvious her life's journey has taught her the value of living for others and making a difference in our world. She described it as making every day count. When you look at her life and the community awards she has been given, it is evident she is living into this philosophy and devoting her time, energy, and expertise to countless civic causes. Her alma mater, Washington State University, has recognized her contributions and bestowed upon her the highest honor granted to WSU alumni, the Regents Distinguished Alumni Award. I read, Phyllis, that you've had a lifelong mentor that would say to you, "Get ready," and you would respond, "Get ready for what?" And he would say, "I don't know, just get ready." Well, graduates, get ready. Get ready to hear words of insight and wisdom that I believe will assist you to be ready for the path that unfolds beneath your feet as you commence from this place. Would you please join me in welcoming our commencement speaker, Phyllis Campbell. Thank you so much. Oh, yes,
that was so nice. Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, President Martin, Provost Van Duzer, administrators, faculty, staff, graduates, and honored guests. It is a wonderful celebratory day, and I'm very honored to be a part of this. You know, I've so admired Seattle Pacific University being in our backyard, and I particularly love the mission of engaging the culture and changing the world. So let me just say, for 125 years, on behalf of this community, let me thank you and say congratulations on an amazing 125 years. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. Well, your mission truly enlivens our community and our world. But the mission, I would say, comes alive through each one of you as our graduates of this fine institution. You know, you've received by your education here a gift of a great education informed by grace, faith, and yes, love. So as I address you today, I thought I'd tell you a little bit about my own background and how these values have influenced me. Then I will close by hopefully leaving you with a couple of thoughts that have helped me throughout my life. You know, as a young person growing up in Spokane, I was the daughter of a dry cleaner, and like Susan Okamoto Lane, I was part of a Japanese-American community that faced discrimination for the reasons that she mentioned after World War II. But in spite of the hardship, you know, we were very, very fortunate to be part of an embracing community that helped us all. We had our Catholic Church community, we had our neighbors and friends, and nonprofits that surrounded us with support. So I was very, very lucky to grow up being surrounded with a great community, but a solid grounding in faith. Faith that was formed by my church, by so many caring people, and really 12 years of wonderful parochial education. You know, a favorite book of mine that a friend gave me in high school that I've continued to read throughout my adult years was called Markings. It's an autobiographical collection of thoughts of a former United Nations Secretary General named Dag Hammarskjöld. He had the following quote about faith that I thought I'd share with you. To have faith, not to hesitate, not to doubt. Faith is the marriage of God and the soul. So as I mentioned, since we were relatively poor growing up, you know, it's sometimes difficult to have that faith, difficult to have much of a future or think about a future beyond the confines of my neighborhood and my hometown. However, as I reflected on the thoughts of Dag Hammarskjöld, I realized that I didn't need to worry about that future. It was most important to live in the present and really to have faith that my calling would develop as it was meant to be. I simply needed to be open to those moments of truth, open to those moments of grace. And one of those moments of grace was one day when we were deciding whether we as a family could afford for me to go to college. I was the oldest of 5 kids. A check arrived in the mail. And that check was from Washington State University, the Office of Financial Aid. And it was a notification of a scholarship award. And it basically was from the Josie Comstock Shadle Fund. I'll never forget that. And it was designated for kids in need. And so it was the check that put our decision over the top, and it allowed us to make the decision to let me go on to college. And I have to say, to this day, I remain deeply grateful for that act of generosity that got me to the college education. Well, the related value that I experienced was that of generosity. And as I mentioned, we were fortunate to be a great part of a loving extended family in spite of our meager financial resources. But I think about the mentors that shaped me, and President Martin mentioned one of them. But I think they all really modeled the fact to me of the Christian adage that it is more blessed to give than to receive. And another business mentor, David Clack from Spokane, passed on advice that his grandfather gave to him early on. And he said to me, the more you give, the more you get back. It's an unending cycle. And so I think this advice is applicable to you, graduates, as you commence from this fine institution. You know, you really face a world today of many, many challenges, a volatile economy, with, in some cases, fewer job openings, a world of geopolitical uncertainties, including terrorist threats, a world of increasing opportunity gaps, and you face a planet with a fragile ecosystem. But you also face a world with amazing opportunities. You face a world where rapid advances in science will allow for you to cure diseases that kill too many, particularly in the developing world. You face a world where technology will continue to transform all of our lives. And you face a world where each of you, as the graduating class of 2016, will be responsible for improving our planet in many ways not yet seen. So as I think of you as Seattle Pacific University graduates, I think of your uniqueness as individuals. You are the most global, you are the most connected, and you are the most compassionate generation we have witnessed. And thus, as I think about you and how you will change the world for the better, I'm going to urge you to do 3 things. Number 1, embrace your values that you learned here at SPU. Number 2, live your core values each and every day and in every moment. And number 3, think big, which is an acronym. And so the 3 points I'm about to share around the word big are things that have served me well in really overcoming those obstacles and making a difference in the world. So the first letter in B, the big, is be bold. And as I look back, my education gave me that foundation to think bigger, to define both problems and opportunities. So use your education to create a vision for those possibilities and step up and tackle them. You know, I never dreamed when I sat in your chair many, many, many years ago that I would become the first woman president of a major bank in the state. But I needed to be bold, and I needed to say yes to those opportunities that came along, some of them hard. So the second letter in Think Big is I, obviously, and that is be ingenious. Well, the dictionary defines ingenuity as the originality of invention. And you, more than any generation in history, have the opportunity to innovate, to invent new solutions to problems. You know, disruption is all around us, but just make sure that your ingenuity is channeled to the greater good. Well, the last letter, G, in Think Big, is give back. Many people have sacrificed for you to be here today. It is incumbent upon you to pay it forward by giving back. You know, I'm here because I know that none of us make these life journeys alone. And so I intentionally take time to pay it forward, to mentor others, to create opportunities, and to make sure that I improve the communities in which I live. So be the big thinkers that your education has taught you to be, bold and ingenious, cloaked in a spirit of giving back. Your education here has also taught you and given you a strong spiritual base, which allows you to look at the world through a unique lens. As Gerard referenced earlier, Romans 2:12 says, "And be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." Your renewal here has given you a sense of higher purpose, and I'm optimistic that with this spirit, our future will be in great hands. So congratulations on this momentous day. Take time to celebrate, and then go out and change the world. Go Falcons, and God bless.